G'day and welcome back to the channel Ginger Ninja's Movie Reviews. I am the Ginger Ninja and these are my Trashy Tuesday reviews, and I've got a really special one here for you today. Now, I am going to say a big shout out to my good friends over at the Mad Bloods channel. I mentioned this before. I recently got this off them, Bodymelt. This is what we're going to be looking at today, and this is a trashy ozploitation classic from 1993. It was directed by Philip Brophy. It stars a lot of well-known Australian actors and a few that you might recognise from other shows like, Neighbours, things like that. So the movie stars Gerard Kennedy, Andrew Daddo, Ian Smith, Brett Climo, Lisa McCune, and many, many more. Now the plot itself, and I'm going to say it straight out, the plot is very thin with this one. But the residents of the peaceful Pebbles Court in Homesville are being used unknowingly to test a new body drug or a health supplement that causes rapid body degeneration and painful death. It's pretty full on, the special effects in this one, so keep an eye out for that. If you're into body horror, you'll probably get a kick out of this one. But let's get into the, let's get into it. So obviously, thank you again to the Mad Bloods for this, and also thank you to all my new and returning viewers. Look, I really do appreciate you coming back every week and watch me dribble on about these films, so thank you. Now there will be spoilers ahead, so prepare yourself for that. This film is considered, like I said, an ozploitation flick, and Bodymelt is just a wild, bizarre ride into a world of body horror, and it kind of blends satire, grotesque visuals, and a very healthy dose of dark humor. As I mentioned, released in 1993 and directed by Philip Brophy. I don't know anything else that he's done, but this film, it's an Australian cult classic that really does take the concept of suburban living and healthy living to the extreme, and it results in a chaotic and entertaining spectacle. Okay, so let's have a look at the cast, and like I mentioned, there are a lot of names in here which, they're well known in Australia. I don't know how well known they are overseas, so you may recognise some of these names, you may not, but the cast in itself, the characters are an eccentric bunch. And they each represent different facets of society's fixation on physical perfection. You have the radio DJ, who he takes vitamin drinks to just, stay healthy, busy lifestyle and whatnot. You have the newlywed couple, the newly pregnant couple, want to keep the baby healthy, You've got the teenage kids who are just out to get laid. You've got the family who the dad's a health nut and he jogs around all the time. So, you see those different aspects of it. And it's really interesting because the film, it focuses on, or it's more structured as a series of vignettes, and each follows the specific characters in an overarching story arc, which is an interesting way to look at it. I did like it. There are some really gruesome scenes with characters, really interesting scenes, but there is no real character development amongst each specific character, excluding the police officer, maybe. Like, you see a bit of him quite throughout as he links to each of the characters and, tries to look into what's happening. The directing and writing. Now, while the concept of the film is intriguing, the plot itself is thin, like I mentioned, and it lacks substantial development. The narrative focuses more on showcasing grotesque transformations than on providing a compelling story. And that's fantastic if you're in it just for the horror, for the gore. Fantastic. Don't get me wrong there, I'll touch on that in the effects, but they're good. However, this may leave some viewers craving a more substantial and engaging plot, may make them feel left out. Look, it also suffers from uneven pacing, with moments of intense body horror interspersed with slower, less engaging moments. The pacing issues hinder the overall viewing experience as the film struggles to maintain a consistent level of tension and excitement. There is a side plot hinted at between Dr. Carrera, played by Ian Smith, and Pud, who is the very interesting character who was introduced with the two teens who are out to get laid. There is a side plot there where they're getting their car fixed, and there is a scene in that where one of those teens is fucked with a pole, basically. Check it out, you'll see it. It's gross, but hey, it's like 1 second you see it, it's a scene, and they're a very interesting bunch of characters, and the writing of them could have been more developed. Like I said, there was that side story between those two, and that had more to it, I felt. There was more story there to be explored, but it's left hanging and it's never fully explored. And this part of the writing is very frustrating. Now, the cinematography and production design, they contribute to a very visually striking and colourful setting. The vibrant and exaggerated colour palette enhances the Australianness and effectively immerses the audience in the film's bizarre universe. The satirical elements of the film, intended to critique consumer culture and the pharmaceutical industry, come across as somewhat heavy-handed and at times forced. The social commentary often takes a back seat for shock value of the body horror elements of this film, and it dilutes the impact of the film's possibly intended message. The satire lacks subtlety and nuance found in other films that successfully blend horror and social commentary. And now onto the effects, which is, let's be honest, this is what we're here for. This film, you can tell from the cover, wow, bursting with gruesome physical effects that are full on and done amazingly. The makeup and prosthetic work is commendable, and creating these grotesque and imaginative body mutations that are simultaneously fascinating and repulsive at the same time. The transformations range from melting faces and exploding bodies to bizarre mutations that would make even the most seasoned horror fans squirm. In fact, there is a scene where one of the characters is hallucinating a woman massaging his stomach, but ends up pulling out a rib. Oh, yeah, that was full on. And I mean, that's only the tip of the iceberg, but that just made me squirm a little bit because, oh, yuck. The practical effects give the film this tactile feel that contributes to the visceral impact that I just mentioned. The creativity in designing the various body mutations adds a striking visual element to the film, making it stand out among other horror movies of its time. There were a few horror movies that were, very similar in their grotesquerie, but yeah, this is just above and beyond, like it really is. Rewatchability. Look, this is a tough one for this one because I do enjoy this film for various reasons. Now, while the practical effects are impressive, the film occasionally relies too heavily on shock value and graphic imagery. This reliance will alienate a lot of viewers who prefer a more nuanced approach to horror, and this in turn may make it difficult for some to rewatch. However, it's definitely one to introduce to your friends just to see the look on their faces, because it would be priceless. Now, while Body Melt may not be everyone's cup of tea due to its extreme visuals and its unconventional storytelling, it's got an undeniable charm that has earned it a cult following. Now, if you're a fan of body horror, dark humour, a healthy dose of social satire thrown in, then this Australian gem is worth a watch. Just be prepared for a cinematic experience that is as strange as it is unforgettable. For a score, and this was a tough one because I do enjoy this film, but it does have a lot of flaws, let's be honest. It's far from perfect, but it makes up for it with just some of those completely out there characters and the effects. So for a score, I give Bodymelt 7 out of 10. And there you have it. That is my review of Bodymelt. Have you seen this movie? Are you going to see this movie? If you have seen it, let me know what you thought of it down below in the comments. If you can check it out, let me know as well, because I really think a lot of people, especially fans of body horror, this one is a forgotten gem. Like, it truly is. So definitely recommend you check it out. It does highlight a lot of those physical effects that are missing in cinema today. So there you have it. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please do hit that like button. It'd be much appreciated. Subscribe to my channel for future content and hit that notification bell so that way you're notified every time I do release a new video. But on that note, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.